Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Shades of Brown podcast. This is episode 8. I'm Akash.
I'm Roble.
Today, we have a special guest on the podcast you guys can see.
I'm Ethan.
And yeah, we're going to have 3 segments for you guys today. First, we're going to do a breakdown of the AFC North. Then we're going to go into our reactions to Week 6. And then we're going to do our starts and sits for Week 7. And that's going to be huge this week, especially with the amount of bye weeks for Week 7. So make sure you stay tuned for our starts and sits. All right, I guess we can get right into our breakdown of the AFC North. I believe the Baltimore Ravens are at the top of this division right now, so I guess we can start with them.
I'll take this one first.
All right.
Okay, so at the start of the season, I wasn't too optimistic about what the Ravens would do, especially them losing both their main 2 running backs, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, and then their their secondary star corner,
Marcus
Peters,
Yeah.
now with an injury also.
ACL.
So 3 guys that were key players in their team go out with injuries. So my expectations were a little lower, but they've actually exceeded all my expectations. And Marquise Brown and Lamar Jackson, especially Lamar Jackson, I'll touch on Lamar first. Lamar has made huge strides this year. Like, Lamar is seriously carrying this offense in like ways that I have not seen before. The Colts game, he single-handedly wheeled them back from a 22-7 deficit and brought them back. And then Mark Andrews has looked good as well. So it's all positive so far, and they're my favorites to win that division.
Yep. Ethan, you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, and to add on to that, their first round wide receiver pick in Rashad Bateman, who was supposed to be the cure to that horrendous wide receiver core, got injured. Lamar Jackson has improved a whole ton since last season, and I think he's top 2 for MVP race this season. The way he carries that team is insane. And MVP doesn't necessarily always mean best player. It means most valuable. And I don't know if there's a person more valuable to their team than Lamar is.
I definitely agree with that. The way Lamar benefits that offense and really helps it is something that we really don't see with many other quarterbacks. I mean, you could maybe say Russell Wilson and maybe a couple other guys, but it's really that offense is completely centered around his play and his play style, which is something really unique to him. You talked about Rashad Bateman, who has made his first start last week, obviously unlimited snaps coming back from that core surgery, but I think that's something that we need to look, because like they're 5-1, and Marquise Brown has taken strides. Mark Andrews is looking like the tight end we saw from 2 years ago, and now that they add Rashad Bateman to the mix as he gets more and more snaps, this is something that can really make that Ravens offense, give them a new dimension that's going to make them even more dangerous than they already are.
And also, to add, the defense, they were a little shaky the first 2 weeks, but I think they're finally getting it together. They shut down Justin Herbert and the whole Chargers offense. Calais Campbell looks really good. Calais Campbell's looking really good right now. Who's their star corner? Marlon Humphrey. Humphrey, as usual, he's very, very good lockdown corner. And their safety, Chuck Clark, he's really important to that defense. He's made strides since week 1. So I think that defense is only going to get better as they get more playing time together.
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially last week against that Chargers team, I think that was really the Ravens' test to see if they were legitimate contenders. I mean, obviously, I see a lot of people saying that the Chargers aren't contenders now because of that, which obviously isn't true. It was obviously an off game from them, but you can't discredit the Ravens for how well they played. And I think going forward, I think the Ravens are only going to get better. And I really think they have they have a big, I think, lead over the rest of this division right now, just like off like the eye test. Just off the eye test, they really do look that much better than the rest of this division. we're really going to see in this matchup this week with the Ravens versus the Bengals. And I think that's really going to tell us who the front runner for this division is. But yeah, for me, I think the Ravens are a more well-rounded team than any other team in this division at the current moment.
That is true.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like the Browns. Like if it were to come down to who would win the division, I feel like the Browns would match up better
The injuries,
against the
though, like they're
Ravens.
just
The
piling up.
injuries.
Injuries, yeah.
Kareem
3
Hunt's
starting
now out for
offensive
what, 6
linemen.
weeks? I think.
Two running backs. Yeah, it's not looking too good in Cleveland right now. But
Yeah,
And the
I think
I
Odell
think they
trade
have
rumors, like it's
3
Bro,
offensive linemen.
Cleveland in like
Odell is
big
out.
matchups play really good for some reason.
but that's
they
not enough to
like
win a division. You got to win the small games too. So
they have been winning those. It's just injuries have kind of piled up. I think they're better than. But we're gonna touch on that later. But I think right now currently they are better than the Bengals. But
first,
records.
I don't know. The Bengals' offense has really been explosive. Although their defense has been lackluster at times, the Bengals for sure. I think their offense is as explosive. No, it's more explosive than the Browns by a lot. And the strength of the Browns going into the season and through those first 2 weeks was their defense, and the Chargers completely violated their defense. And I think if high-powered offenses are going to destroy their defense, I don't think Baker Mayfield can keep up with those type of offenses. So I don't know. I just think the Bengals, although I do believe that the Browns have a better roster talent-wise, at this current moment, I think that the Bengals are playing better as a team, and their defense and offense are complementing each other a little bit more than what we're seeing from the Browns.
Yeah, and to start off on those Brown injuries, even if Chubb, how long is Chubb out for? I'm not really sure on his
Chubb, they're
timeline.
saying he's ruled out for the Thursday night game, but they're
At
saying that
least,
he will have a chance to play in Week 8.
regardless, I think they have 3 starting offensive linemen out. They're getting really thin on one of their strongest points. Baker Mayfield shoulder is messed up, even though it's a non-throwing arm that still affects his movement. It's going to
He's
be
out
really
for Thursday
hard.
night game.
Right, he's out too. It's going to be hella hard for him to roll out of the pocket, which is one of his best attributes, is rolling out of the pocket. With that shoulder injury, he's going to be in gruesome pain every time he does that. And then I know Odell is injured. I'm not sure what the timeline on that is or how he's doing. Yeah, once again, there are trade rumors, which never helps the team. The Browns are in a really, really messy spot right now. And even if they can get healthy later, it might be too late because the Bengals and Ravens are going to be so far ahead by that point.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Wait, Odell got injured?
Yeah, shoulder injury as well.
He got an AC joint, grade 3.
Oh, okay. So he might be out for a little bit.
Yeah, that usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to recover. So the trade rumors are really ramping up with him. And I think from the beginning, he wasn't a good fit with the Browns. I just don't think the way their offense works, that volume isn't there for him. And when you look at other hyper-talented wide receivers in the league right now, you look at Devontae Adams, you look at DeAndre Hopkins, you look at Stephon Diggs, no matter what, they find plays to get them involved in the offense. And that's because those offenses are orientated around those players, while the Browns are already orientated around that run game with Nick Chubb and their great offensive line. So I just don't think it was really a great setup and a great matchup for Odell to be in Cleveland in the first place. And I think that's really been shown because his production has just gone straight down since he left the Giants and went to the Browns. So
Yeah, I disagree with that a little bit.
No, come on now. You think Baker Mayfield matches Odell's talent? Like the way Baker Mayfield plays does not complement the way Odell should be used.
I agree with that for sure.
No, I'm not saying that. But my point with that is, I don't think necessarily Odell's a bad fit in Cleveland.
No.
I just think that I don't know because let's look at Baker Mayfield's pass attempts. He's had around over 4-5 games with over 30 pass attempts. And obviously Odell's injured, but the past 3 weeks have all been over 30 pass attempts, right? Odell Beckham should be getting the ball regardless. Like, there's certain players in the league that you give them targets. You have to give them targets. Like the elite, like top level playmakers in the league. Odell is one of those people. And
He is, but Baker's a game manager. He's not a playmaker.
yeah, but
And
Baker can
I
still
don't
get him the
necessarily think
ball.
what either of what you guys are saying is the reason why it's not working. The reason it's not working is because what you're saying, Roble, is that he should be getting design targets. That's what you're saying, right? And
Just throwing the ball more.
but the thing is, when you're the reason that obviously since he's Odell, he's drawing the defensive attention in the first place, and when that happens, there needs to be plays made for that player to get the ball, and that doesn't happen, especially in an offense that isn't made for Odell. That offense is made for their running game. That offense isn't made
too,
for a
yeah.
single wide receiver to do good. Their wide receivers are only a complement to their running game.
True.
And basically what I'm saying is that I just don't think a team that is a run first and play action roll out like bootleg type of team is something that Odell will benefit from, because he's sitting here running short routes, short slant routes that aren't really his type of style. He runs those
I get
go
what you're
routes,
saying,
he runs
yeah.
those post routes. And he doesn't
That
really get
makes
to
sense.
do that in this offense.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So it's more like a ski. It's not
It's a
necessarily
scheme issue.
Yeah, it's a scheme
yeah.
issue, and I don't think that's really a fit for Odell here. I
Yeah.
really think if you put him on a team like the Saints, and that's one of the
Green
big
Bay.
targets
Green Bay. I've heard rumors too.
in the trade,
Yeah, Green Bay.
that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And you put him on a team where they're a pass first team, I really think Odell could come back into his, like, not obviously not into his prime form. That's behind him, but we could easily see that 100 yards a game that we used to see out of Odell for sure.
And I think another issue with Odell is, as you said, he's running constant short routes, and when he runs those longer routes, I feel like Baker attempts to force the ball to him, which is ruining their connection. When you watch their games, they rarely connect on deep routes. So, A, that's part of scheme, and two, it's just the way they play Baker. He's not going to be able to give Odell the ball. It just doesn't work. There's no reason for him to be in Cleveland anymore. Takes up cap space. If anything, the offense looks kind of worse with him on the field, in all honesty.
Yeah, and like it just I think it just comes back to the point that he just really isn't a fit for that scheme.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and I think it'll be beneficial for both sides for him to leave. It's beneficial for him and his stats and his contribution to a team, and it's beneficial for the Browns because they're able to free up cap space and really work on positions that they actually need help at, because I think their role players that they have at wide receiver are what they really need. One team we really haven't touched on so far are the Steelers. And I think it's really interesting because, I mean, it's been two bad defenses in a row, obviously, but Big Ben has been looking a little bit better than he did the first 4 weeks. And I think heading into this bye week, Steelers fans should have a little bit more hope. At least that's what I'm looking at.
I mean, I don't see why they shouldn't have hope. I mean, Big Ben's looked pretty serviceable these past few games. Seahawks game, 0 turnovers, good game manager, hit his targets, run game looks good, and then Broncos, he also plays good. Obviously, he benefits from playing against two pretty average bottom tier defenses, but their upcoming schedule is a depleted Browns, Bears, Lions, then they got the Chargers, and then it gets a little harder from there. But those next 3 games I mentioned are pretty winnable matchups for them, especially the Lions, Bears, and Browns. Like, those are winnable games. So I think they can definitely.
Game is going to tell us a lot about both teams.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how the injuries line up, but I'm favoring the Steelers in that game if Browns are missing that many players on offense and defense. And then touch on one more thing. The 2 big playmakers on their offense, Najee Harris and Deontay Johnson, are really solid players. Like, Najee these past few weeks has really emerged into what I thought he was going to be. And then Deontay Johnson's actually really surprised me. 0 drops this season. Totally uncharacteristic from him. If you looked at how many drops he had last year, and overall his route running looks so good. It's actually looking really good for those two players.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, Big Ben this year almost reminds me of Drew Brees in the last couple of years of his career. They had the playmakers to take them to the playoffs. You had a Kamara. You had a Michael Thomas while he was healthy. I think Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris are not Kamara and Michael Thomas. I'm not saying that. But I don't think for them to make the playoffs, Big Ben does not need to have the cannon of
They
an
also have
arm
the
he
better
had 10
defense,
years
too.
ago.
So,
He had way better defense. Deontay Johnson and Najee Harris can very well carry this team. Short routes, we can see that Najee Harris is a very good running back who can catch the ball very, very well. He has lots of receiving yards for a running back. So I don't necessarily. This is going to be very similar to how the Saints ran their offense last year and the year before.
Yep, I agree with that. That's actually a really good take from you. I agree with everything you said there, actually, and I think that the Steelers really are dark horses in this division. Lots of people really started ruling them out, and I don't necessarily think that's like really the case because they still have that elite defense that we all know they have. TJ Watt is a different monster, as we saw in that Seahawks game. Really, like, obviously the offense did some stuff in that game, but TJ Watt is the reason they won that game in overtime. The sack on one possession and then the strip sack on the next possession to put them in field goal range. Just ridiculous coming out from him. And when you look at Deontay Johnson, like you guys said, it's really, like you said, very uncharacteristic of him with the drops. And I remember seeing the story first week. The announcers were talking about how in the offseason he put oil on his hands and practiced catching balls. And he put in that work in the offseason. It's really showing this season how much of an improvement he made as a player and how much dedication he put in. And I really think he's going to be a great, especially with the injury of Juju Smith-Schuster, his usage is going to go up. He's going to get those routes that Juju had, plus his already huge route tree. And he's such a great route runner, and I really think that Mike Tomlin will use him to the best of his abilities. And I really think the Steelers team could make a run in this division.
I think one thing that will help is Matt Canada needs to get his stuff together. His play calling is horrid. His play calling is horrid.
He's kind of limited. He's kind of limited what he can do.
That's especially true, because he really can only... Yeah.
Like, he is limited, but he can do much better than he is right now.
Have you seen Big Ben's completion stats over 20 yards?
No, you're right. Big Ben is not who he used to be, but I also think Matt Canada can do a lot better job.
Yeah. But, yeah, I agree with that point. The Steelers are... In the playoffs, they're going to be so predictable. Like, that's just my take. Like, I just feel like if they were to make the playoffs, it's a Saints, like Ethan just said, like I think it's like a Saints story all over again. Like
they can go to the playoffs, but they're not going to go far.
They're not going to go far. Like drawing up art running back screens and hitting short routes is not going to get you to a Super Bowl. So definitely need to pump the brakes on that. But I think they have a really good roster, and I'm intrigued to see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, based off of what we've seen this year, I really don't want to rule out any of these 3-3 teams. I really don't want to rule them out. Because, like, when you talk about they can't make a Super Bowl run, we've seen this year that other than ruling out the Cardinals, any team can lose on any given day. And these games have been closer than we've seen the past few years in the NFL. There are 8, 9, 10 teams that you could say have a legitimate chance now. And I think that these teams are way closer talent-wise. The play calling has evolved so much that even if there's a gap in talent, it can be bridged and it can be fixed by good play calling. And we've really seen like teams that we really thought wouldn't have a big chance of competing this year really compete. And we really saw that with the Titans beating the Bills on Sunday night, a red-hot Bills team that we thought was the best team in the NFL at that point in time. Them or the Cardinals, and they lost to the Titans. And whether that be the play calling or Derrick Henry just being the best running back in the NFL, like, they were able to beat them. And I think we're really going to see that trend continue on as the year goes on. Teams that we really shouldn't be winning games, win games against teams that we think should win games. So, yeah, I think the Steelers have a shot of going all the way to the Super Bowl. I think their defense is good enough to carry them. Because, like you said, they may be like the Saints, but then they may also be like the Broncos, who went to the Super Bowl with the washed-up Peyton Manning when he really couldn't throw the ball anywhere, but they had a great defense with terrific weapons on offense. So, I mean, it could go either way. I think all 4 teams in this division, though, can go deep into the playoffs if they do make it there.
Yep.
I think the last team we didn't really go like super in depth with is the Bengals. We sort of touched on them versus the other teams, but the Bengals offense is actually electric. Like, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow looks like a trio that's going to really dominate this division for years going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing as a Bengals fan, seeing Jamar Chase is he unlocked the deep ball from Joe Burrow. Last year, Joe Burrow was one of the worst deep ball throwers in the NFL. This year, if I saw it correctly, he's a top 5 deep ball thrower percentage-wise in this league. And that chemistry between him and Chase, it can only get better in all honesty. And it's already electric now. And Jamar Chase has looked amazing.
The 2 offensive rookie of the year front runners are in this division.
Right. I think coming years, the offensive line is going to get better. The offensive line improved this year, which only helps Joe Mixon and keeps Burrow up on his feet. This team has high potential. Defense has showed it can play well. They can be a little streaky at the same time. But if they can stay consistent, this team, I don't know if they can go all the way yet, but they can go far in the playoffs.
I agree with that.
I'll take this right here. Bengals, I want to see how they match up against the Ravens this week. I think that's my benchmark in my opinion. I want to see how they match up against the Ravens. They've competed almost every single game this season, and they killed my Lions last week, which was kind of sad. But like they've seriously looked really good, and I think offensive line and defensive issues are kind of like overstated. They added, I think, Riley Reef in the offseason.
Right, it's much better than last year. It is miles better than last year.
They drafted another tackle. Like last year, I remember they signed like 5 people off the practice squad and threw them in a game against the Titans. Like
exactly,
those days are now gone. And offense, I kind of feel like the way Zach Taylor runs, like a third wide receiver is like really key. And then Uzama also looks really good. He's like a pretty good red zone target, and he can get his intermediate yards and stuff. But defensive issues, I think, are kind of overstated. Jesse Bates is really solid.
Yep, Von Bell and Jesse Bates have looked very good this year.
Yeah, they've got some playmakers, and I think pass rush possibly a concern. But aside from that, I think they just got to strengthen a few other areas, stay healthy, and they'll be contending for like the next.
Trey Hendrickson seems like he's going to heat up, so I'm not too worried about that pass rush.
Hendrickson has slowly looked like that guy we saw in New Orleans last year.
Yeah. With the Bengals wide receiver depth, it is absolutely ridiculous. We got Chase, we got Higgins, we got Tyler Boyd, who I personally think he's not going to have the greatest year this year because he's not getting as many targets anymore with Chase being there. But Tyler Boyd is very, very reliable when it comes to catching the ball. And then you have Auden Tate, who's the 4th best wide receiver on that team, who can really make plays with those 50-50 jump balls. I wish Zach Taylor would be more aggressive with his play calling because the offense has the ability to do that with all that firepower. He's a little too conservative at times.
Especially in that Bears game. I think that Bears game really showed us how that conservative play calling really doesn't benefit this team.
And against Green Bay as well.
They were really able to bring it back once they became more offensive with their play calling. And I think as the season goes on, once he gets more familiar with this newfound powerful offense, like we're going to see higher scoring games coming out from the Bengals. and they're going to win more games because of it. And I think, like Robles said, I think once again, this week is huge for both the Bengals and the Ravens. Obviously, I think the Ravens have a little bit less to prove than the Bengals, but the Bengals really have a chance here to prove whether they are an elite team or if they're frauds. And it's going to be interesting seeing how Jamar does against an actual top-tier corner. We haven't really seen him against someone like a Marlon Humphrey yet. And I want to see how that plays out. And that can, I don't know, that'll really tell us how good Jamar Chase really is. Obviously, we already know he's a top-tier talent who can produce at an elite level. But I want to see what he can do against other elite competition at corner.
This is going to tell a lot about the offensive line and Joe Burrow, because the Ravens love to put lots of pressure on the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They love blitzing. They love sending 5 men up. So if Joe Burrow can stay on his feet or at least play properly without throwing a ton of interceptions, fumbling the ball, staying with that mindset he's been with the past 6 weeks, it'll show a lot about Joe Burrow's growth and the offensive line's growth. That Ravens D-line with Calais Campbell looking good is going to be an amazing test to see how he's grown mentally and how he can do against the blitz. Because I believe Joe Burrow is one of the best QBs against the blitz this year. But that Ravens blitz is another level of craziness.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like this game could potentially become lopsided.
That is true.
If like certain things happen, but overall I think it'll be a competitive game. Like you talked about, Ravens defense is really good. Like the schemes that they implement, sometimes they can sit back, they can rush like 7, like they can do almost everything, and they got ball hawks everywhere, playmakers on defense. It might be difficult. I think Jamar Chase might have like a more quiet game.
He will.
Yeah. I feel like the more secondary playmakers, T. Higgins and Boyd, might be the more like recipients.
I think it's going to be Boyd because Marlon Humphrey doesn't tend to follow receivers as much. So I think Boyd will mostly, he's usually in the slot. So I think Boyd is going to have probably the best game out of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Boyd's going to have a good game. I don't know how Mixon will do.
Right.
Ravens have been pretty decent.
That front 7 from the Ravens is very, very good. Patrick Queen has really taken strides this year.
Yeah. So I don't know how Mixon's going to do. So I think he struggled. Quote me if I'm wrong. Did he struggle against like the really good run defense that he went up against? I think in one of like the previous weeks. He had like a pretty down game.
I mean, he really isn't a down game. It's just the touchdowns really weren't coming. I think it was week 2 and week 3. Then he went down with an injury week 4. Yeah. So, I don't necessarily think it was his production was bad. His production was pretty decent, to be honest. It was just the touchdowns weren't there.
Yeah, I mean, also it might be tough because Patrick Queen is a very good counter for Joe Mixon. Patrick Queen can cover the field really well. He's an explosive, fast linebacker. And we know Joe Mixon is not the greatest in between tackles. He's, in my opinion, he does a little bit better when he's outside. He's running outside. So I think that's going to be a really good matchup to see how Patrick Queen and that front 7 do against Joe Mixon.
I think it's going to be really important for the Bengals to establish a run game here. Establish a run game so that they can bring this team out wide because, as you just said, they have very fast linebackers who react quickly, fast linebackers. Something like it's like the Cowboys defense, where obviously it's a lot better than the Cowboys defense, but linebackers wise, they're those really fast linebackers that go edge to edge they go sideline to sideline really quickly. But you have to make sure that you can keep them honest with the run game. And like you said, he may not be the best in between the tackles, but he's going to have to learn how to do that, especially this week. Because if he's not able to do that, these linebackers will be flying around. And if that happens, it's going to be very hard for the Bengals to move the ball on Sunday.
And on top of everything, you got to keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands. You do not want to give him that many.
The way he's playing, he could change a game instantly in one drive.
Right, you got to establish the run game to burn some clock.
Yep. I think it's gonna be huge this week. Do you guys have any other comments on this division? I mean, I
No,
guess we
it's
can do
an
our.
interesting division.
I think we can do our predictions for the
Yeah.
winner. I'm gonna go with the Ravens. It's a basic guess, but I mean not a guess, but a basic take. I really just think overall I think they obviously have the second. I think they have the second best defense in this division, obviously behind the Steelers. But I think they also have the second best offense in this division. So I think they're the most well-rounded team here, and I think that they're well coached.
Oh yeah.
And they have the best QB, and I really think that's really gonna take them put them above this the other three teams in this division. But I do think 3 of the 4 teams in this division at least will make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ravens also. Just consistency over the past few seasons, and just the fact that I think they have the one of the best playmakers in the league at their helm, and he can decide games in an instant. And their defense is great also. I think they have currently probably the best squad in that division. Browns are up there also, but just in my opinion, I think Ravens have everything that's needed to win that division, and they have the best record so far. But the Bengals game could change that.
It could really
If the
change that.
Bengals
This week really
if
changed
the
a lot.
Bengals
Yeah.
were to upset the Ravens, that
I'm
would
gonna
shake
take
up a lot of things.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow keeps up the good work against the blitz, and I think Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins have a really good game.
Yep.
And I know they have that. I think every Bengal fan and player knows this is a statement game, and most people will call them frauds if they lose.
Yep.
Wait, were we picking division or the game?
Yeah. Is that your prediction for who wins the division? Or
For the
what's
game, it's game and division pick are my Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
Both.
I think that's pretty valid. I think there's an argument to be made for all 4 teams to really win this division. Yeah, I want you guys to let us know in the comments who you guys think will win this division. Obviously, a super competitive division, probably second best division in football behind the NFC West. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a very competitive division. I think we can move on to our next topic. We'll be going over our reactions to the Week 6 games. Lots of big games here, big storylines, and I guess we can get right into it with the first game, which was the Thursday night game between the Buccaneers and the Eagles.
Yeah, I'll touch on this one first. Interesting game. I think the Bucks. Leonard Fournette was the star player from this game. I think really ran all over the Eagles, and just overall he's looking really good this season. And Ronald Jones has been put into trade talk, so Fournette really established that number 1 role in that offense.
And then Gio Bernard is a third down back. There's really no need for Rojo anymore.
Yeah, right. And he's injury prone. He fumbles the ball a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's time for him to find a new home.
Yep.
And Antonio Brown once again continues his really
He's
solid
really asserted
play.
himself as the number 1 receiver on
Yeah.
that team.
I mean, definitely. I mean, you can make an argument for him. Mike Evans has been pretty consistent too, aside from his game against the Cowboys and then this week against the Eagles. He's been really consistent also. But Chris Godwin, I think, has been the one like disappointing player in this offense. Kind of his target share has just like gone down since week 1, and it's kind of disappointing because he's kind of hurt from all the talent in that offense, all the mouths to feed. So it's a little difficult for him to establish that role. And aside from that, Eagles, I'll I'll take a Kosh Padoja stance here. Miles Gaskin is garbage. Miles Sanders is garbage.
Yep.
Hot trash. Not a good running back. He can't run through the tackles. He's average in the when he's catching the ball out of the backfield. He's trash. And then Zach Ertz got traded.
Exactly.
So not too much there for the Eagles.
Yeah, about the Eagles, really quickly. This is more about fantasy football here. There's a lot of people I've seen on TikTok, especially this week, saying buy low on Miles Sanders.
Nope.
Don't do that. Like, there is no the reasoning is that he has a high snap share. Okay, because they have like Kenny Gainwell is good and all, but like there's zero talent in that backfield. Of course, he's gonna be on the field a lot. Just because he's on the field a lot. Obviously,
Doesn't mean he's getting the ball.
most of the time, volume equals production. If he's on the field, that's great and all, but he's still not getting volume. That doesn't matter. Like he has seen single digit carries multiple times this season. He's not that good. His receiving upside isn't there. When they're in the red zone, Kenny Gainwell comes on the field. Like there's really nothing for Miles Sanders to take. There's nothing for him to like benefit off of. And sure, you can buy low on him, but you're buying low on a guy who's not even going to finish as a top 25 running back. He's not going to be in your starting lineup any week unless you have bye weeks like this week in week 7. And I just don't see why Miles Sanders, I don't see why anyone would buy low on him. Like, there are guys on waivers that I would rather start a James Conner over Miles Sanders. So
Michael Carter.
Like a Michael Carter, like
McKissick.
He's just not that good. Do not buy low on him, and yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. But
all of this same thing happened last year.
Yep.
It's Miles Sanders' hype is the most garbage thing I've ever seen. All of his yards last year came off these really random big runs that he ended up having.
60, 50-yard runs that he would do once every 4 weeks. Like
exactly. He'd have like big chunk of yards. He's not getting in the red zone. Just a garbage player.
They're the wannabe Ravens.
Yeah,
They'll never
exactly.
be even close to as good as
they have a
the
worse
Ravens.
version of their quarterback
Lamar.
and then a worse running back too. Like, dude, the Ravens
Worse
are on their,
receivers, to be honest.
the Ravens are on literally real
Besides
life
Freeman.
waiver wire pickups at running back, and those running backs are outperforming Miles Sanders. Like, dude, there's no reason for the Eagles. I mean, not obviously the Eagles need to play their running back, but then at the same time, there's no reason to start him in fantasy. Now, if we're talking about the game, the Eagles really played a good game. Like, realistically, they were just outmatched talent-wise. I think the Eagles, they just need to work on their run defense. They're getting ran over every week. Like, teams are just stomping over them, and it's just not a good look. And once you the thing is, like, their pass defense isn't even bad. It's just when you let a team run over you like that, they're going to be able to establish a play-action game. And once a team has both that run game balanced with that play-action attack, you cannot stop them, no matter who it is. And I think that defensive concern is really scary if you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah, Darius Slay's looked pretty good this season. He looks much better. I think this is his best out of the past 3 years. He's looked the best this season. But when your run defense is doing that poorly, there's very little that pass defense can do at this point. You could see Leonard Fournette was running through that Eagles defensive line and linebackers. There's nothing that pass defense can do when you have a Leonard Fournette who's not what he used to be. Still good, but not what he used to be. Is absolutely rampaging through your line.
I also like to touch on one more thing. For the future, I think the Bucs might be in a little bit of trouble. Especially, they've actually dealt with like a lot of injuries this season. And I saw that they picked up Richard Sherman, and he ended up getting injured in that game, I think. And that just adds on to their injury list. Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield Jr., Levante David, and Sean Murphy Bunting, and now Richard Sherman. All defensive players that are all out. The offense still looks good, but I'm just kind of concerned of how that defense will match up against like better offenses. And especially we saw in the Rams game where they kind of struggled to put up points against a really good defense, and then they were also letting in a good amount of points. So I don't think they're in the best situation right now. They need to get healthy. They need to regroup. And beating the Eagles only by 6 points, not the greatest look, but
granted, some of those points were kind of in garbage time for the Eagles, though.
Yeah, that's true. They were dominating pretty much the whole game, but
It was a dominant win, but at the same time, you do expect more.
Right.
Yeah, that's my point.
The pass defense has been, since week 1, has been the weakest point of that Bucs team.
I mean, it's been the weakest pass defense in the NFL. So.
Yeah.
Seriously, like the Cowboys threw all
And
over
it
them.
can only get worse from here. If your starters are not playing, I don't see how that team can get that pass defense can get any better. That's concerning.
Like they've played two elite offenses and they got torched
Yeah.
both times against Dallas and then against Los Angeles. And
Right.
I think that it will get better. And obviously, I'm never ever gonna say that they're not Super Bowl contenders as long as Tom Brady is
Tom
on
Brady's
that
on the
team.
team.
Of course.
And I don't think, no matter what, if Tom Brady was on the Jets, I'm still not saying they're not Super Bowl contenders. I literally do not care. But that's a whole different story. But yeah, overall, I just think it was a good win by the Bucks, and the Eagles just have a lot to work on as a team.
Yeah, we can get into the next game. I think.
Yeah, we can get into the next game. This was a London game. Once again, sending trash can teams over to London for them to watch. Jaguars and Dolphins.
This game was actually kind of good, though.
It was actually a good game. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
it's
trash teams.
With the Jaguars, one thing I want to touch on, their two players that are fantasy relevant are really becoming more and more consistent with Marvin Jones and James Robinson, which is really encouraging for fantasy owners. I think Marvin Jones, although he hasn't been the most consistent, like he's shown that when the Jaguars offense gets moving, he is that passing red zone target, and he's also that guy that Trevor Lawrence looks to. He's the guy that we thought Shenault would be on third down, like the guy that Lawrence looks to get the ball to. But instead now Dan Arnold, I believe his name is, the guy they traded for the Panthers.
C.J. Henderson,
and Marvin Jones are his two go-to guys on third down. And I think that's encouraging fantasy-wise. But like just about the actual game, it was actually a good game. Like the coaching wasn't as bad as it looked through the first 5 weeks. Trevor Lawrence really looked good other than that fumble.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the Jaguars didn't look like an incompetent team, which was really surprising. Like, I mean, like it's weird to say, but the Jaguars didn't look terrible. I mean, I don't know if that's more of a testament to how good they played or whether how bad the Dolphins are.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean,
might be on the Dolphins side a little bit. I'm not gonna
touch up on Marvin Jones. I think a lot of it has to do. If you looked at that game against the Dolphins, you can see a little bit of chemistry, a lot of chemistry between him and Trevor Lawrence. You saw, I think, a couple back shoulder throws, which were perfect on the sideline, caught perfectly by Jones. That's a good sign for fantasy owners that they have that connection. They have that back shoulder throw connection, which is usually a good sign of chemistry when it comes to a quarterback and their receiver.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, game-wise, the Dolphins are in a horrid spot.
But there's one thing. The Deshaun Watson trade rumors have started up again. And it's actually going to happen. The three-way team trade between the football team.
No, one Texans. Of the people just said it's false. One of the Dolphins executives said it's false.
That'd be such a W.
Bro, if the Dolphins got Deshaun Watson.
Wait, will Tua go to Washington?
Tua would be going to Washington, yeah.
Wait, who did the football team get? I mean, not the football team, the Texans.
Probably a bunch of picks.
First-round picks.
Like a bunch of picks.
That's a W. I mean, dude,
I don't know what the football team is gaining from this.
Now, let me say, if Deshaun Watson does get traded, Jalen Waddle,
straight to the moon. Will Fuller, straight to the moon.
Bro,
to the moon.
Mike Gesicki to the moon.
Fantasy-wise, that's crazy. But, like, dude, their team is, like, still kind of dog meat, bro.
Yeah, because they're injured.
I don't know. I think the difference between a Deshaun Watson, you really hated on the Dolphins this year, and I can really see it. I mean, they're not a good team. Yeah, I think you're really underestimating what a good QB can carry a team to.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, like, if you look at Seahawks teams, bro, like, as a Seahawks fan, like, I can't lie. Ever since the Legion of Boom has been gone, like, we've literally been a poverty team other than Russell Wilson and a couple receivers.
That is true.
And, like, Russell Wilson by himself really took that team to new heights. Well, not new heights, but just heights in the playoffs that they shouldn't have been to without him. And Deshaun Watson is that same level of talent. And
Yeah, okay, that's true. But still, them giving up a lot of draft picks, right? Offensive line, still crap. Still
Free
need
agency.
but
yes,
but the
still
offensive
need
line
to
concerns can
assess
be
the
fixed
future.
so quickly. Like that's one season. You just okay, you have a bad season this year. You pick up Deshaun
Offensive
Watson.
line has been
You pick up
dog
Deshaun
crap
Watson
last
in the
year.
off season. You tank this year, right? You probably give up your first round pick this year, but second round you can still find a decent offensive lineman. Look in free agency, get an offensive lineman. Maybe pick up a linebacker to replace Kyle Van Noy. I still don't know why they let him go. Kind of a
Yeah.
stupid move by them. But
Very stupid.
either way, they pick up a linebacker in free agency, maybe get one or two offensive linemen, get like a second or third round offensive lineman, and their offensive linemen's like serviceable. And then you have
Even
Deshaun
this year,
Watson,
I mean,
when you have
dude,
Mike
Watson and a
Gesicki,
bunch of
Jalen
speed
Waddle,
demons,
a
you
Mike
don't
Gesicki,
really.
like I don't know.
When you have that many speed demons and a good tight end, if you're
And you have a
off
god
the
tier QB like
QB, the offensive line, it's very important. Don't get me wrong, but that team can still go to the playoffs with a Deshaun Watson and 3 speed
it's like the
demons.
poverty version of the Chiefs.
Yeah,
Like think about it.
yeah,
Like
that's
you
yeah,
true.
have
you're
like
right.
Jalen Waddle who can be like off-brand Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill,
Will
yeah.
Fuller can be a better version of McCole Hardman.
Hardman.
And then Mike Gesicki is Travis Kelce who doesn't know how to block. And then you have Deshaun Watson who's Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, bro, back to this game though. Like, dude, Tua didn't even play that bad.
He did not.
Like, I mean, obviously, like,
I mean, that
okay,
interception
it
was terrible, bro.
was
That was
horrible.
bad.
Coming
That
from
was
an
horrible.
Alabama fan, that was the worst throw I've seen him make, even in
I
even
think he was
college,
seeing
bro.
ghosts there.
Was there any receiver in the area?
Yes, there
was not a
but he
receiver
just
within like
underthrew him
10
so
yards
bad
of him.
that-
I didn't see the TV thing. Like, I only saw.
Yeah, there was I don't know who had picked off the ball, whether it was a safety, linebacker, or corner. There's one in front, the one in the back. So they essentially sandwiched the wide receiver. Didn't even go relatively close to the person who was in front of the receiver. He underthrew the ball so bad
Like,
that you
like-
couldn't even see the receiver.
So like basically the play right was like like the delayed fade routes where like the receiver will be sitting next to a corner not open, but as the QB like is like supposed to be rolling out, which Tua didn't do, they go upfield, but that corner is supposed to collapse down, leading him to sit in the pocket in the zone where he's wide open. But it just looked like Tua didn't have enough arm strength to get the ball to him. I don't know what he was reading, if it was a miscommunication or whatever, but that was an awful throw.
Well, I mean, the receiver was standing there for a good bit open. I don't know. I truly think it looked like Tua just did not have the ability to throw the ball there.
Yeah, I don't really know. Other than that, I really think that recaps the game. I mean, both these teams really aren't going to have great seasons this year, but there's some positive signs going forward for the Jaguars, and then the Dolphins. The only positive to draw out of that was really you're maybe getting Deshaun Watson.
If they get Deshaun Watson, Brian Flores' hot seat is going to not be as hot, but he is definitely up there on the hot seat.
Some of his decisions are just doesn't like
Makes
why.
sense.
My last thing,
He's
why is
not a head
Myles
coach.
Gaskin getting less touches than Salvin Ahmed and freaking Malcolm Brown? Like, it just does not make sense to me. It genuinely doesn't. It's just so stupid. But yeah, that's really it. I think we can move on.
Yeah.
Vikings Panthers. This game was crazy. It took a while for this game to finish. Overtime game, 34-28 Vikings. Kirk Cousins. I just want to say,
Yeah.
almost 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Like
What was his percentage?
33 out of 48. Like
38, which is 68%, but
yeah,
for that
almost
volume
69.
of throws, yes, closer to 69. For that volume of throws, that's incredible.
Yeah, he played well. Dalvin Cook played well. Adam Thielen with a great game. Like, just
Jay Jets
overall,
had
a
a good
great game from the Vikings. And the Panthers, they looked so bad, but yet they somehow were able to hang on in this game and almost pull out a win, which is crazy to me because watching this game, their offense looks so sluggish. Without CMC, it just looks so much slower. Like it really looks like Sam Darnold is a whole different player.
Sam Darnold looks like he's almost turning into that player he was with the Jets.
No, he is. He literally is that player, bro.
You see 207 yards, wow, and then a pick, okay, at one time. Then you see his completion percentage.
17 out of 41?
17 out of 41.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I want to make one thing clear to start. Robbie Anderson needs to step up. Like, big time. There were at least, like, he had 11 targets and only came up with 3 receptions. Sure, some of these balls were bad balls by Darnold, but I watched this game, especially this one post route. Sam Darnold threw one of the best balls he threw all game straight into his hands, and he dropped the ball. Like, that, and then there were slant routes. There were, like, he was dropping the ball left and right. I don't know why. But these past 2 weeks, I mean, like the first 4 weeks of the season, you could say Robbie Anderson wasn't producing because the targets weren't there. But these last 2 weeks against the Cowboys,
he's gotten the volume. He's just
and
not
the
producing
Vikings,
with it.
he's had 7+ targets in both games, and he has not produced. And he got signed to an extension this offseason. I don't know if he got lazy or something, but he needs to step it up because DJ Moore can't just carry this passing game by himself. And
exactly. And the more DJ Moore grows, we can see a big growth in DJ Moore's game. He's always been good, don't get me wrong. But that's going to draw more attention from defensive players. They need that second wide receiver to step up, especially when McCaffrey's not there. Robbie Anderson absolutely needs to get his game off. He got a big contract.
He's a speed demon wide receiver who's a deep threat, and he's averaging for that game he averaged 3.7 yards per catch. Like that's unacceptable.
I feel like talk about Christian McCaffrey. I feel like he's like a safety blanket for quarterbacks. If I recall, Panthers record when before McCaffrey got injured
3-0.
And Teddy B was in there. I don't know. Did they start? I think they started the season undefeated. Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, it was very similar to this year.
He'd probably still have that job if CMC didn't go down with the injury. Like CMC masks so many QB's weaknesses. Darnold is not good enough to win you games, and this is highlighted here.
He has the talent to do it, but he needs time.
I don't think it's the talent, bro. He's just not that good.
I think Joe Brady is a very good offensive coordinator, in my opinion. I think if you give Darnold a year but he needs that McCaffrey factor to help him grow throughout the year.
What you're saying is like almost no QB unless like no one is saying Darnold is an elite quarterback, right?
Yeah, and he's not.
We're saying he's an above average QB. No above average QB is producing big numbers with only one weapon on offense. At this point in time, he only has DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Name me one above average quarterback that is doing this with one weapon.
Only DJ Moore? Chuba Hubbard's emerged in the past few weeks.
Dude, do not say Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard is not even a top 25 running back in this league.
Dude, Mike Davis did the same thing in that offense last year, but nothing compares to McCaffrey.
Yeah, of course. But, dude, what I'm saying is actually...
I want you to answer me this question. Do you think Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater?
They're about the same, in my opinion.
How do you say that? Teddy Bridgewater
is better.
putting up the same or even worse numbers than Sam Darnold in Denver, where he has a Cortland Sutton, where he has a Noah Fant.
Bridgewater's better. And he had the playoff success with the Vikings, too. Yeah, he's better. Teddy Bridgewater. Yes.
No. Teddy Bridgewater is a game manager.
What do you see from Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold has arm talent. He has the ability to place balls where only his receiver can get it. He is very talented, but he literally has look at this. DJ Moore has 5 receptions. After that, Ian Thomas 1 reception. Brandon Zylstra 3 receptions. Shea Smith, who is that? 2 receptions.
Shea Smith.
Alex Erickson is literally a kick returner from the Bengals. Who is on the Panthers, who had 1 reception. Robbie Anderson is basically a bum. 3 receptions. Terrace Marshall, their second round wide receiver?
Second round, yeah.
1 reception? Like, what do you want from Sam Darnold? Like, who's he supposed to throw to? He literally has DJ Moore, and that's it.
I want Sam Darnold to improve his pocket awareness, not get sacked so many times.
But he doesn't even have a dump-off option. Chuba Hubbard has 1 reception. Who's his dump-off?
It's the way they're using him. Chuba Hubbard can be that dump-off guy. Obviously not replicate what McCaffrey's
now you're saying
doing.
it's the scheme's fault. How's that Sam Darnold's fault?
Huh?
How's that Sam Darnold's
I'm
fault?
I'm saying Chuba Hubbard could be that downfall. Sam Darnold has not played good, bro. Like that's what you have to face.
How?
And even,
when he's had more than one weapon on offense, he was literally an elite quarterback through the first 3 weeks when he had CMC.
Elite quarterback, and he played relatively.
Okay, I want you to tell me this:
defense.
you take away Devontae Adams from the Packers, Aaron Rodgers' numbers will fall off. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a bunch of
you take away
bums
Dalvin Cook from the Vikings.
Fall off to the point of 6 interceptions in the past 2 games, 0
Okay,
passing
that's Aaron
touchdowns.
Rodgers. If you take away Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant, or one of the two from Teddy Bridgewater, he's not getting 3 touchdowns in that game over the weekend. He's not.
Against who?
Against the Raiders. He's not. He got 2 touchdowns, 1 to Noah Fant, 1 to Cortland Sutton. Neither of those are happening if he loses one of them. And even then, he still has Tim Patrick, who's playing better than any player on the Panthers. Not named DJ Moore.
Besides, yep.
You're literally, like, obviously, no one is saying that Sam Darnold is an elite QB talent. He is above average for sure. He's better than players like Teddy Bridgewater. And I think he's around the same player as Ryan Tannehill. I think that's a completely fair comparison. Ryan Tannehill is barely producing with A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry.
That's just this season, though. Past 2 seasons, he's actually
Past 2 seasons, they added Julio Jones and he got worse.
Put up elite numbers.
The past 1 season, he put up elite numbers. Last season, he put up elite numbers.
No, dude, when he got traded, right, and then he got the job over Mariota, he put up elite numbers. Am I right?
Yeah, he put up above average numbers. He never put up elite numbers.
It was above average. Last year was elite. This year, I don't know what is going on.
He got worse when they added Julio Jones.
Horrible.
I think Sam Darnold is about the same player as Ryan Tannehill. And I think with CMC in the line, like, you are literally taking what he's doing without one of the best running backs in the league taken off his team.
Yes, and I do understand that. But what I am saying is that he's actually shown nothing.
You literally made the argument that CMC is the best receiving back in the NFL. And that he is the most important running back to his offense in the NFL. And now you're saying that it doesn't matter that he's gone and that won't affect his quarterback's play?
Not saying that at all, but I'm saying Sam Darnold is looking like Sam Darnold from the Jets without McCaffrey. He looks exactly like Sam Darnold the Jets without McCaffrey. He looks the exact same. Tell me what looks different.
In the past couple of games he has, but I think there's good reasoning for it. Don't think he's going to stay like that. There's no way he stays like that. He showed that he can play very, very well.
He literally showed that he can be elite with an actual team around him. The whole point of people saying that he still had talent when he was on the Jets was because the Jets had nothing around him. It's the same argument. There was nothing around him for these past 3 weeks. There was DJ Moore, and that's it.
Yep. Robbie Anderson should be playing well. What are you dropping balls left and right?
There's talent there, bro.
What's the talent other than DJ Moore?
There is talent there. There's players there.
Who?
And you can't be playing like that.
No. Don't make the rest of your point until you tell me who is that talent. You're claiming there's talent there other than DJ Moore. Who?
Yes, I think they have a solid tight end option. Robbie Anderson.
What's that tight end's name?
I swear they just traded for him.
They didn't trade for him. They traded that tight end away. Dan Arnold to the Jags.
Is it Ian Thomas?
Yeah, Ian Thomas, their backup tight end going into the season.
All right, let's look at this. Robbie Anderson, who's actually projected to be possibly their best wide receiver this season.
Completely underperformed.
Not only is he not being a speed demon like he should. He is dropping balls left and right.
Their second-round wide receiver. A literal waste of space, bro.
You kind of what happens when you don't implement him into the offense earlier on in the season, and now he's faced with. I'm not saying like his struggles that game were unacceptable, but like, dude, his targets in those previous 5 games were not good at all. He's not seeing the ball,
No,
and I think that was the issue.
the previous 3 games. For the last 3 games,
Previous
Robbie
3,
Anderson's
yeah.
targets have not been bad. It's just he hasn't been able to catch the ball.
I mean, dude,
It's like watching
dude,
the amount of crap Deontay Johnson got last year should be what Robbie Anderson should be getting right now. I do not understand why Robbie Anderson is not getting the same crap that Deontay Johnson got. Because even though Deontay Johnson was dropping the ball last year, he was still doing something with the ball. Robbie Anderson is dropping the ball, and nor is he doing anything when he can catch the ball.
He will bounce back. I am sure of
Okay,
this.
sure, he will bounce back, but what you're saying is there is talent there. There is not talent that... Okay, sure, maybe there is talent. Let's say Robbie Anderson is talent.
Dude.
That talent isn't producing right now.
Yes, and they beat the Jets and they beat the Texans without McCaffrey, in my opinion. Can we agree on this?
They beat the Jets with McCaffrey. McCaffrey
I'm saying
there.
if McCaffrey's not there, they beat the Jets without him, correct?
Probably.
Yes.
Probably, yes. And they beat the Texans without him.
Yes.
Right? And Saints game is probably the game I'd say McCaffrey is necessary for. And they played the Eagles, right? They lost to them. Darnold was poor.
They still should have won that game.
Yes, and they should have won that game, even with McCaffrey out. So what I'm saying is that Darnold has underperformed in the past 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, because there's no talent. What's your argument?
My argument is that he's not looked good at all.
Quarterback should not play worse when the second best running back in the NFL gets injured and isn't on his team.
Some of this stuff's not even on talent. The talent that he's missing, bro. Some of the fundamentals stuff.
A receiver who they just paid, who he gave 11 targets to, should only catch 3 of them.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but what I am saying is that he is underperformed. Like, dude, there's certain things that, dude. My point is that I've talked about the sacks, the pocket awareness, the accuracy, the decision making. All that stuff is just, it's looked like reminiscent of what he did in New York. Like, how is that a bad point?
I don't know if you watched this Vikings game. It didn't look reminiscent of New York. The offense, if you watch this game...
York, he made plays too, but he was
also... If you watch this game, this Panthers offense did not look like it knew what it was doing. The play calling wasn't good. Robbie Anderson played like he was awful. DJ Moore even had an off game. Like... I don't know what you're asking for this guy to do. You're acting like he's Deshaun Watson and he needs to carry a team and throw 4 touchdowns even when he doesn't have one nameable wide receiver on the field.
Alright, that's fine. Just expect him to complete over 50% of his passes and not take 6 sacks and hit open receivers.
I mean, he hit open receivers. They dropped the ball.
You just named 5 drops. That doesn't bring his completion accuracy over 55%, does it?
Did you watch this game?
There were 6 drops between just DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson.
Just those 2.
Still doesn't bring his completion accuracy.
What was it? 17
6 drops by your 2 best wide receivers don't tell you what. Just that should tell you how that game went.
Drops happen in games, correct?
Yes, they do. But coming from your 2 best wide receivers, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's true.
You see Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen combining for 6 drops in a game? No.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. I mean, to each their own, but Sam Darnold has been a lot better this season, and he will continue to be better once CMC is back.
And also, if you watch the Panthers games, teams are able to get very good pressure with just 4 players. The pass protection has been horrid. And when you don't have that CMC to dump off when you're getting rushed by 4 players, it's not surprising that he looks like how he played in the Jets. Can't do anything about it. Drop balls, poor pass protection, no CMC to drop the ball off to. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
This is going to be on Joe Brady to. He has to switch the scheme, short throws, dump off throws with Chuba Hubbard if he's going to even be able to do it. We don't
Well,
really know yet.
I think DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson need to switch roles. I don't know why DJ Moore is the one running these deep routes. At this point, he's just too reliable to not be putting on these short routes for Sam Darnold to trust. But I think
Right,
that's really it for
DJ
that
Moore's
game.
route tree is much more expandable than what
Yeah.
they're using him for. He can do because Robbie Anderson's struggling with what the role he's in right now.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, yeah, obviously you can send him on those deep routes, but why not use him in those short games where your team is clearly struggling?
Yeah. I think we need to move on. We spent a lot of time on this game. But I think the Chargers versus Ravens next game, I think this one's pretty easy to recap. I mean,
yeah.
obviously, the Ravens dominated this game. Like we said, if the Bengals want to beat the Ravens, they need to establish the run game. And that's exactly what the Chargers couldn't do. They combined for 26 yards rushing.
Yep.
And that's unacceptable. I think they really gave up on this run game way too quickly. They combined for 12 rushing attempts total. And I really don't think that should happen, especially when you have a guy like Austin Eckler. And just overall, just not a good game from the Chargers. The Ravens just really dominated.
Chargers defense has been suspect for a little while now. I mean, like, they've been in some shootouts. They were in a lot of shootouts last year, and they came up on the losing side.
Yeah, that pass rush is underperforming. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Their rush defense even worse, I'm pretty sure.
They gave up 230 yards to the Ravens. They gave up a
Lamar
lot
Jackson
of yards
ran
to
through them.
Nick Chubb ran through
Freeman
them last
ran
week.
through them.
Yeah. Everybody's
Le'Veon
running.
Bell scored a touchdown on them. He just had to walk in there. Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
What is going on? That shouldn't be happening. Granted, it was only 2 yards, but he just had to stride into the end zone.
Like, there is literally three out of their 4 running backs. I'm going to count Lamar Jackson as a running back here. Averaged over 4.8 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good. That's not sustainable. Like, you can't be doing that. The Chargers defense needs to step up. But on the
Joey
Ravens
Bosa and
side, they
Derwin
played
James
well.
can't do it all themselves.
Like, the Ravens played well. Mark Andrews played well. Marquise Brown had that drop touchdown, which is really something that I think if he can fix that, he's going to take those strides like Deontay Johnson did. Marquise Brown is super talented. He may even have more raw talent than Deontay Johnson does. Maybe not as a route runner, but pure intangibles such as speed and like stuff like that. I really think that Marquise Brown can be really good if he works on that drop issue.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to go to the Chargers defense, Bosa and Derwin James, Asante Samuel's been pretty good too, cannot carry the poorness of that defensive line, that linebacker core. The middle of their field is so open. That second layer,
their linebackers are just so average. Like, they're not even average. They're below average. Like, they're bad.
Yeah. Asante Samuel's been good, and then Chris Harris is nowhere close to what he used to be. He's getting burned left and right.
Yep.
Yeah. Big win for the Ravens, though.
Huge win. I don't think it necessarily changes my view on the Chargers. It really just changed my view on or improved my views on the Ravens.
Yeah,
but
I just think it was.
It
an
also
off
shows
game
the
from
Chargers
really.
have a lot of things to fix. I don't know if the Chargers would have necessarily won if they played at their best. Not really sure because the Ravens just played so well. But
definitely been a closer game.
Yeah, I
More
think
than
the
6
Chargers.
points.
It showed that they have a lot to improve on, though. That run defense got to change. When Devontae Freeman is averaging 5.9 yards per carry, you know something's wrong.
Yep.
He was what? He wasn't even signed to the team at the beginning of the year. Why? Because they have 3 or 4 running backs who are better than him. They just happen to get injured.
These waiver wire pickups should not be running all over your team.
Yeah.
And I think that's really it from that game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think we can move on. Rams versus Giants. Another blowout from the early window of games. Daniel Jones looked lost. I don't really know how else to say it. Like, Daniel Jones has been playing so well, and I think we were hyping him up too. Like, we were hyping him up, saying like everyone was hyping him up. Everyone was like, wow, we were wrong about Daniel Jones. And he just turned around and dropped an absolute stinker, bro.
Turnover Jones.
242 yards, 0
They had a lot of
touchdowns.
injuries. They had a
And
lot
yeah,
of injuries.
Great.
But
for
that
sure.
play is
Tony's
not
out.
excused.
Galladay's out. I mean, Shepard had a good game, and then obviously Saquon's out. So it's unfortunate. Really, lots of injuries for the Giants. Still don't think they would have won this game.
Dude, but you can't excuse those turnovers, though. I think it was 2 fumbles, 3
Yeah.
picks. Like,
some of those
you gotta protect the
interceptions,
football.
I was confused
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
he saw. Like, there was a play where the corner was literally walking step for step. Like, dude, from the angle that they showed the interception, like when they replay the interceptions, you're looking from the quarterback's point of view, right? Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't even see his receivers. That the receiver that he was aiming at. Like, that's how clamped up he was, and he still decided to throw the ball. And I just think that needs to be worked on for sure. But from the Ram side of things, like, just really, really good from them.
Stafford.
Matthew
is
Stafford.
amazing. Darrell Henderson,
Efficient.
not half bad.
Touchdowns. Darrell Henderson. Roble, your propaganda really been working wonder. Like,
He's
Darryl,
solid.
He's solid.
really
He isn't
solid.
anything
Yeah,
crazy.
he's solid. We're not saying he's crazy, but he's working.
Yeah,
He's
working,
doing
yeah.
work.
He's really solid, bro. Like, I mean, the volume's there. He's in a really good offense. He's really efficient running back. He's really good. He's really good pass catcher also.
Yep.
He's got almost everything that you want in a running back, and he's providing that role that Cam Akers left when he got injured. He's just stepped in and he's filled that. And if Cam Akers were to return and get that job back, he definitely could probably get a bag over the offseason.
Yeah.
Because he's a super good back.
Yeah, and Cooper Kupp is making me and Roble eat our words up that he
Yep.
may not, like, keep his same production.
I
mean,
mean,
obviously it's against the Giants defense. That's obviously there.
14.4 yards per.
I still don't think that he's gonna maintain this
Jeez.
pace. I just don't think it's possible.
I think they also want to get Robert Woods more involved with that offense for playoff time.
So
Because,
I don't think it's sustainable. I'll switch my prediction. I don't think he'll be top 10. He's for sure gonna finish top 5. But I still don't think he finishes top 3.
Yeah, and I think it's important, like playoff wise, that they get Robert Woods rolling in this offense because they can't really rely on one receiver, and then pray that during the playoffs that great chemistry between Stafford and Woods is going to be there. You're going to have to develop it through the whole season.
Yep, I agree. I think that's really it for that game.
Yeah.
We can move on again. Next we got the Texans versus Colts. Another blowout.
Yeah.
Jonathan
Carson
Taylor.
Wentz looked good. And Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor's a demon. Like, he's really good.
Yes.
Did you see that breakaway run?
Like, that was crazy. 86
That
yard
was really
run.
good.
That was
really
14 carries for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Two touchdowns. Yeah.
He's not even getting 20 carries, bro.
Yep.
Think about that.
Like, that's crazy. I think the roles for Hines and Mack are slowly
diminishing.
going away.
It's in trade talks.
And I think it's really, teams should be scared because Wentz is playing well. Taylor is emerging as that guy we saw the last 6 weeks of last season. T.Y. Hilton came back, then he got injured.
He played
again.
well.
He got injured.
He
again,
did?
but he played well when he was there.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman was pretty decent, and then Campbell had that long touchdown. So I don't know. The Colts are playing a lot better. Obviously, the Texans aren't the best team, but and then Davis Mills, like, he had such a good week last week, and then he comes back with this. So
I mean, at least Brandon Cook's staying consistent.
yeah,
I feel bad for the
back
dude.
week. So
That's what you kind of expect from Davis Mills, though. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's true.
That's kind of what I come to expect. But dude, Carson Wentz is seriously playing like really good. I think one interception this year, and it was off I think it was like a shovel pass on the 1 yard line. So not even a legitimate interception in my book. He's at I think around 9 touchdowns. His QBR is really high, and he's making great decisions with the ball. And overall, the Colts have had their ups and downs this year, but Carson Wentz is really that bright spot in that offense this season, and he's been playing at a super high level. And I'm really happy to see him bounce back, especially what all he's been through the injuries. He's been mocked a lot. People called him trash. And they need a backup QB. Won the Super Bowl without him, so I'm happy to see him bounce back.
Yep, I agree. I agree with that for sure.
Okay.
I think we can move on again. Just that was another blowout. I mean, that's really all there was to it. Colts really dominated that game. Next you have Chiefs versus Washington. I mean, the game was the score really doesn't say how this game really went. The Chiefs didn't win this game convincingly, in my eyes. I mean, and towards the end of the second half, they really took the reins of this game.
Yeah.
But when you look at some of the first half, as a Chiefs fan, it really would scare me. Like, that one throw from Mahomes I'm still questioning what was going through his brain.
It almost looks like he forgot the basics
Like,
in that first half. The second
I feel
half
like
he
that's
brought
the
it back.
first thing they teach you as a quarterback. Do not panic throw the ball. And it just looked like he was scared of the pass rush. He just threw it straight. He didn't throw it far. He just threw it straight up in the air. Like, I don't know what he was thinking, but then the other interception really wasn't his fault. Just went through Tyreek Hill's hands again. There's been 2 weeks in a row where there's been an interception because of Tyreek Hill. The one against the Bills going for a pick six, and this one being another interception. So, I mean, overall, not a terrible week from the Chiefs, but really not impressive again from them. So,
Yeah, the turnover issues are like the main problem that I've been having.
Yeah.
And I said this at the start.
Defense.
Yeah, and the defense too. I said this at the start of the season. Mahomes had a lot of dropped interceptions last year. I said that's finally gonna catch up on him, and he's gonna have over 10 interceptions this year. He's exceeded that. He's gonna exceed that rate probably in the next 2 weeks. Um, Aside from that, it's not looking too convincing. And then for the Washington football team, I mean, I don't really know how long. I mean, Taylor Heineke,
He's
I
not
don't.
that guy.
He's not the guy. Like as much as I love him, the story, everything, he's not that quarterback.
He's a good
And
backup, but he's not a starter.
yeah, he's. So I don't know. I mean, when Fitzpatrick comes back, will he come back this season? I don't know. We'll see.
probably not.
Probably give him another
Well,
shot.
yeah,
And they have
he probably will come back. Yeah, my bad.
they have Kyle Allen as the backup to Heineke right now. It's it's looking pretty bleak for the football team. McLaurin another a disappointing outing because of Heineke's poor QB play. It's Washington has a lot of issues to fix, and also that defense, which was so strong last year, is not
It's
looking
bottom
too
tier
great.
now. All of a
It's
sudden,
not
it's
looking
bottom
too
tier.
great. They have so many weapons,
And
but they're not.
like on paper, they got better. So I don't understand it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so strange. Like Sweat and Young, two great pass rushers. They got good secondary. I don't really know what's the issue. Like they're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They they forced one interception this game. They haven't been doing that all season though. So I don't know what to think of the football team.
I agree with that.
No, neither.
I think like the football team, it's just all around just there's nothing really worked out with this team. What like the expectations that everybody had, whether it be for an individual player this season for that team, or just like anything like that. Like Terry McLaurin has had a couple good games, nothing impressive from him. Antonio Gibson has been just lackluster, just been marred by injuries. The game script hasn't been there like we thought it was because they're lackluster defense. So just overall, not what we expected from this team. Hopefully, they can fix that defense, and that can really launch them. And like that can make if their defense gets fixed, it will fix so many of their problems so
Yeah.
quickly. But I don't
Also,
see that
quarterback
happening
play.
anytime soon.
Well,
I
I
think
think it'll be easier for Heineke to play when he's doesn't have the fear of his defense allowing 30 to 40 points.
That's true. That's true for sure. Like when you're allowing the Falcons to drop what 37, 40 points on you, like I mean, that was like, what, 30 points? Yeah, 30 points.
Yeah.
I'm like, that shouldn't be happening. Yeah, I think that's really it for that game. Next, Packers Bears. This game was closer than I thought it would be, actually. But
Aaron
the
Rodgers
Bears
still
couldn't
on.
stop the run game.
Yeah.
And that really was the downfall of them, I think, here.
Wait, can you
Yeah.
read the Justin Fields stat line? Because I forget what
He
it
had
was.
16 for 27, 174 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, and then he had 43 yards on the ground.
See, yeah, it wasn't a bad game, and if I recall, the interception was kind of dodgy.
Yeah, it was like
memory.
because apparently, I mean, it was actually a missed call by the refs. The Packers were offsides,
Yeah,
and he just
that's
launched the
what it was.
ball.
He thought he had a free play,
Yeah,
and he didn't, and it ended up getting picked off. So that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But Bears also dealing with a few injuries here and there. David Montgomery out, and I think they had their what?
Herbert wasn't too bad, to be honest.
Yeah, what's his first name?
Khalil.
Khalil Herbert. Yeah, he had a
Rookie.
pretty good game, pretty solid. I think he scored a TD. And Rodgers, the Packers are also dealing with a few injuries. Also,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Jair Alexander out. Za'Darius
Alton
Smith
Jenkins
out.
out. Bakhtiari out.
Yep, Darnell Savage. And then David Bakhtiari's out. I mean, it's just I don't. They're dealing with a lot of injuries also, and Packers are still winning. I think that's what 5 in a row. Defense looks pretty good with their injuries, so they're looking pretty good. And
I think
I think
Devondre Campbell's also starting to show out. He's a good linebacker.
yeah, yes, he's solid.
When
And
Zadarius Smith comes back, that can be a really, really good linebacker duo.
yeah, I
And you
agree
got
with that.
Jair Alexander coming back, and Eric Stokes. Man, he's an upgrade to Kevin King. Eric Stokes is a rookie, and he already looks 1,000 times better. He's not perfect, but he looks 1,000 times better than
Yeah,
Kevin
ever since
King.
Kevin King came out of like college, I never thought he was that good. Even at Washington, he wasn't like anything crazy. I don't know. It just, I don't know. Like he has like all the intangibles. He has good height, good length. Like he's athletic. It just didn't translate. It's unfortunate, but
His confidence was down in the hole ever since he let Scotty Miller burn him in right before halftime.
yeah, it just unfortunate. Overall, I think the Packers are really coming together as a team after that
And they're
embarrassing
only
week
going to
one
have
loss.
more pieces.
They really should
looks
be
good.
undefeated, to be honest. If they played their game, they should have won week one too. But overall, they have the best receiver in football. They have a top 10 running back in football. They have a top 2 quarterback
Solid
in football.
tight ends,
In my opinion, the best quarterback in football. So overall, like their team is solid. I think once their injuries get fixed, with MVS coming back, with Zadarius Smith coming back, with Jair.
And you heard those trade rumors. We might have an Odell coming in
And when
too.
Jair comes back, and then if they get Odell, like that's ridiculous. And I think that's huge because if you watch these games, Devontae Adams is getting double and triple teamed every play, and if you add someone like Odell onto the other side of the field,
Yep.
it's gonna be dangerous. That's all that really is to it. With Aaron Rodgers tossing the ball around,
The
and
best,
yeah,
if not the best, the second best deep ball thrower in the league.
yep.
Danger, danger.
Next, we got the Bengals versus the Lions. Ethan's team bashing up on Roblay's team. Just truly an unfortunate.
Interesting game.
Just, I feel bad for the Lions, man. Just not their year, man. Just,
yeah, we're actually gonna go 0-7, 0-17.
I mean, you put up a fight every game until that Bengals game.
That's true. I mean, dude, that's the game like I would kind of
In
expect.
all honesty, you technically should have beat the Ravens.
Yes.
Technically speaking.
Yeah.
But since that field goal was just so good, I'll give it to the Ravens. I don't think you can complain
just
that Justin.
unfortunate, to be honest.
Yeah.
And dude, Jared Goff is like, I'm sorry, dude. Like he's
Not
so
it. Nope.
He's
so
not
bad,
that
dude.
guy, bro.
He can't extend. He can't extend anything. I think Matt Ryan has more playmaking, like ability. like to
Oh,
extend the
Matt
play.
Ryan at one point in his career was a pretty good
Yeah,
QB.
Matt Ryan at 38
Oh yeah,
has
no. I think he
to
honestly
extend
might
the
still
play
be better
better.
than Jared Goff at this point. Jared Goff is
So bad, man. And he's actually hurting our offense
yeah.
because like we're so limited in what we can do. Like we have to design certain things up that only benefit him. When we can't really push the ball downfield like that because we don't have any like elite wide receiver options, and then we're kind of limited in what we can do because of that. Hawkinson's good and all, but he's not going to be carrying the offense. Like
Yeah.
it's
In the
just
end of things, they got steamrolled. There's nothing else to say, really.
yeah.
Yeah, just
Bengals look really good. We touched on this already, but their offense has like some serious firepower.
yeah. Jamar Chase is crazy. Joe Mixon is crazy. That's really it to that game. I think now in these next games, we're really getting into the really good games that weren't really
Yeah.
one sided. Obviously Cardinals Browns game was one sided. We'll go into that one next, but then after that, we're really getting into the better games. So
Yeah.
Cardinals Browns. Kyler once again proving. You said Lamar's your favorite for MVP.
I don't know if he's necessarily
right
my
now.
favorite,
I got
but I
Kyler.
was saying when it comes to most valuable to their team, the way Lamar, the offense is centered around Lamar. Don't get me wrong, the offense relies on Kyler Murray as well, but just that what Kyler Murray has around him is miles better than what Lamar has
That's
around him.
true.
I
That's true.
still think Kyler Murray's first in the race for MVP, but I'm just thinking in the back of my head with the way how valuable Lamar is to his team, he can get the MVP as well. But I
Yeah,
still
like
think Kyler's
Their
gonna
stats are pretty
is a
similar.
little bit ahead.
like
Their
Kyler's
stats,
efficiency here with 67% passing, and
No
then
interceptions, 4
229 yards and
touchdowns.
4 touchdowns with 0 turnovers
yeah.
is just so good. And it's
His
just
ball distribute is great.
like
I mean,
everyone's getting
each
involved.
receiver almost got 3 receptions.
Hopkins is involved. Kirk is involved. AJ Green is involved. Edmonds is involved out of the backfield.
Yeah.
Like Rondo Moore is getting touches. This offense is getting more dangerous every week, and
And
that's
James
really
Conner, in all
scary,
honesty, is
especially when they're
not
already
running the
six
ball
and
that
zero.
bad. James
Yeah.
Conner is not running that bad.
No,
Exactly.
he's what they need, bro. A power back to complement. Like what do they call Edmonds? Edmonds is like a combo back.
Scat back.
Yeah.
He can get out of the backfield. He's a great pass catcher, but Connor's like that power that you need at
Yeah.
the
They like
line.
perfectly
Tailback.
complement each other.
Yeah, they have a really good team, really well
I thought
structured
the
team.
pickup of James Conner was stupid, but I actually understand it a lot better now.
Yeah, and dude, that's like the Cardinals' offense right now is easily the best offense
Oh,
in
yeah.
that. Like I don't think
I think
that's
this is an awful look on the Browns. I know they're injured, but at the same time,
The
the
Cowboys are better
Cardinals did
offense.
not have their offensive coordinator, or was he the one head coach? They didn't have their head coach. He was their play caller.
That's true.
injuries, bro.
That
I,
is true.
I
The injuries on the Browns are bad. Kareem Hunt not being able to play anymore, that's very, very bad. Baker
played until the
Mayfield's
fourth
shoulder.
quarter. He played until the fourth in that game. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
They could have. They
even
could
then,
have.
just Kareem Hunt being out for the future is dangerous for the Browns.
That's true. That's
Yep,
true.
I agree with that 100%.
Dude, what can we attribute? Like, can we blame Baker Mayfield, or is it more
Not
necessary
necessarily.
I mean,
injuries?
it wasn't a good game from Baker
It
Mayfield, but I
wasn't a
mean their
horrid
defense
game.
wasn't good either. So I mean,
Right. I mean,
and
that
the thing
one
is,
pick
right?
was
Like
questionable. Other
it's the
than that,
same
he
thing
was
with the
all right.
Ravens. Like you got to be able to run the ball to keep it out. Like not even just the Ravens. If you're playing a very good quarterback on the other side of the field, you don't want the ball in their hands, and you got to be able to run the ball to stop that. Not having Kareem Hunt really hurt them. Not having Nick Chubb hurt them.
Kyler Murray makes Madden plays. As
Exactly.
simple as that.
Yeah, and like Baker Mayfield can't win a game by himself. He's just not that good of a quarterback. Like he's good, but he's not good enough to win games without everything working. So
Odell didn't play that bad in this game, though.
Who did?
Surprising. Odell Beckham.
Yeah, he didn't.
He had a pretty good game. I think he was wide open a few times. Baker
Well,
didn't.
yeah, I mean, he should have had more. Baker throw some awful balls to him a good
Yeah.
amount of time. But
Basically,
that shoulder is really affecting him. So you can't put all the blame on Baker. You can't put all the blame on a single person. I mean, injuries and then that defense just did not play well. I mean, that defense also took a hit. I'm pretty sure Jadeveon Clowney is injured now. Clowney's improved, honestly.
Yeah,
I think
he's really showing some of the
being
talent
around
for
Myles
why he was
Garrett, he's
drafted
learned
number
a
one.
lot.
It also helps when you're not just like the only singular guy that's
Well,
getting.
even if you look at his pass rush moves, he never really used those pass rush moves.
And you can't make the claim that he didn't have someone on the other side of him. He had freaking J.J. Watt on the other side of him in Houston.
Okay, that's true. I don't know.
Jadeveon Clowney is learning from Myles Garrett. That's great, but he got injured, unfortunately. Big hit to the defense.
I think we can move on again. Another great. This one's one of the great games. Cowboys Patriots really surprised a lot of people. The Patriots did, at least, keeping this game really close and almost actually winning this game.
I think a big thing about the Cowboys is they did a lot of things wrong and were still able to win. Mac Jones looked great. Mac Jones looked really good for the most part. And Patriots played a lot better. With that talent spread between the Cowboys and Patriots, it's huge.
And this
From
is one of the things I was
receivers to
saying.
QB.
The coaching can really bridge that gap between the talent of two teams.
Yeah. Belichick deserves so much credit for what he's doing with what he has. The Cowboys, there's that fourth down stop in the end zone. There were some fumbles. There was a pick. And they still managed to win with all those mistakes. They did everything possible to lose, in all honesty, and they still managed to win, which shows a lot about the team itself.
Yeah.
They can go far in the playoffs.
Yep,
I mean, their defense is not half bad. Trayvon Diggs, ball hawks. I mean, he gives up yards sometimes, but regardless, he's giving the ball back to his offense, which is important.
I think that's a lot. I think a lot of people are saying, I'll say I'm one of these people too that are saying he gives up a lot of yards, which is obviously a true statement. But at the end of the day, you can't discredit him. If you make turnovers at the end of the day, give your team another possession. And those are huge. Just when you're making pick sixes, you're giving your team a touchdown. So it's huge. And I think that's Trayvon Diggs.
When you have a Dak Prescott, when you have an Ezekiel Elliott, when you have a CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper,
and you give that offense another possession, that's huge.
And then you have an offensive line that's good now, not great, but they have more players coming back soon. Those picks are very, very important.
And Michael Gallup isn't even back yet.
He's not even back. Cedric Wilson looks good in all honesty.
Yeah.
He's not a half-bad player.
Did you see that one catch? I think it was on the. That was the fourth
that was great to get that field goal to send it to. That was fantastic.
Was it a fourth down catch? I just know it was a really clutch.
Yeah, it was fourth down. I'm pretty fourth down.
Yeah, super clutch.
I want to.
Cowboys look really good. I think they have a bye week this week coming up. So they look really good. And then touch on the Patriots a little bit.
I gotta give a lot of credit to Dan Quinn and what he did with that Dallas defense.
Yeah, that's true. It's looked much improved from last year, especially when they were
the best.
Run over.
The improvement is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Patriots, they're getting in really close situations that they just haven't been able to close out games.
Two of the best teams in football,
and they're competing.
Yeah.
Quarter to quarter, they're near with, and the talent gap that Ethan touched on is so large. It
just proves how good Belichick really is.
It's really crazy how they just really haven't been able to finish drop. I don't know if it's.
I don't know if it's finish games. I mean, there's a point where that talent gap, there's really nothing you can do.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I just want to touch on two things. The game itself, I'll touch on that in a second. But two players that I fantasy-wise, I've been so high on. I just want to take my W on both of them real quick. Damian Harris, finally not injured, with his carries produced. And I'm so happy to see that. And I think it's going to continue going forward. Damian Harris is so good. The talent is there. It's just he was getting injured, and there was some block.
What's the stat line?
18 carries, 101 yards, and a touchdown.
Wow, that's really good. That's
And
really good.
the Cowboys, I want to take my W on CeeDee Lamb, Roble, over Amari Cooper. The CeeDee Lamb breakout has started. CeeDee Lamb is that guy. He is one of the most explosive players in the league when the ball is in his hands. We've seen that all the way back to his days in Oklahoma. And I just want to say that wave goodbye was cold. That was cold. After that, he
Oh, the catch? Yeah.
that was He's
Jalen Mills
different.
was not happy.
CeeDee Lamb, as a fantasy owner or even as a Cowboys fan, you should be excited going into the future.
Oh, yeah. They got a good future coming ahead of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big time.
I'm disappointed over Amari Cooper, man. I'm just so disappointed, dude. He really fooled me with that first game. He got like 16 targets, and like if you add up his targets in his catches in the past few games, I don't think they even come close to what he managed in the first game. Like he's not getting the ball that much, and he's basically touchdown or bust at this point, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Like seriously. Like he's hurt from all that talent in that Dallas offense, and then I will say this: CeeDee Lamb is probably the better receiver at this point. Like, just I don't know like the matchups and stuff like that, but I guess CeeDee's getting open more. He's getting the ball more, and I don't think Cooper was even in the game on that last drive, was he? I think it was like a play action pass and CD was isolated on the far left. I don't know if
Yeah.
Cooper even in. Like if that doesn't show who they trust more at this point, I don't really know what does.
Yeah.
CD's definitely that guy. I'll take my L on that one and move on.
Yeah, I think we move on to the Raiders-Broncos game. If you guys want to take this one, I need to go upstairs real quick and handle something. If you guys want to do this Broncos-Raiders game real quick, I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll start this one. Derek Carr. He's ridiculous. I mean, with your head coach getting fired,
That's
I don't
true.
know what is going on. And this man went 18 for 27 for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah,
against the Broncos defense, who's a good defense.
Solid defense.
That shows a lot about the Raiders as a whole, in all honesty. Henry Ruggs, he's not who they drafted him to be, don't get me wrong. But he's improving a lot.
That's true.
He had 97 yards and a touchdown. He's offensive line is shaky. So if they improve it, he's going to be good for the future. On the Seahawks side, I mean, you can just see what happens when you don't have a Russell Wilson on the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
Tyler
wanna touch
Lockett
on
is a
Tyler
great
Lockett.
receiver. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't match with Geno Smith whatsoever. Tyler Lockett's fantasy value has plummeted since Russell Wilson got injured. I mean,
Dude, he
Geno
was
Smith,
already.
he's he's not a terrible backup, but Russell Wilson being in there, I think it changes his whole game.
Dude, the thing about Lockett was he was already so streaky, and I was never crazy high on him. I always knew that he was gonna crash and burn eventually if he had
Yeah,
a run of good games. But now, volume's not even there, and I don't think it's gonna be there for the future either with Russ out. So Metcalf, I would still hold on to because I think
Metcalf
will be
is
a
like
hit.
Geno Smith's favorite target. Keep him.
Yeah, definitely. And he played up against. It's a tough matchup for him too. We have to factor that in also. So I wasn't expecting a crazy game from him. He had a good game against Ramsey last week.
Yeah.
Another tough matchup here. Wasn't expecting too much from him, but definitely hold on to Metcalf. I think he'll be solid for the rest of the season.
Hard to tell a lot from that game just since Russ was injured.
Yeah. Move on to the next game. I think
That
it
was the
was
last Bills Titans, I guess. Yeah.
Bills Titans. Yeah. Um. You want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I think this game really cemented why Derrick Henry's the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
That debate we had the other day, Roble, just Christian McCaffrey versus Derrick Henry. I think this really shows how good Derrick Henry is. He can single that the Titans literally looked like in the first quarter that they had no answer to the Bills. Their offense wasn't moving, and then boom, 76-yard rushing touchdown. And all of a sudden the Titans offense starts getting moving because Derrick Henry is the key to all of that. And once Derrick Henry gets going, then you see AJ Brown start getting receptions, 7 receptions for 91 yards. Like Derrick Henry is literally the key to everything. And
he's the Lamar Jackson of the Titans.
Exactly. He's insane.
Without a Derrick Henry, that Titans offense is useless.
Yeah,
They have great wide receivers, don't get me wrong. But that factor of Derrick Henry just lights the team up.
Bro.
I think if the MVP
First
award was
Hall of Fame
quarterback favored, Derrick Henry could be in the race. But since it's so quarterback favored, he won't be.
Yeah.
But MVP does not necessarily mean best stats. But it's the value to your team. And the value Derrick Henry has to the Titans is through the roof.
Yep.
Have you seen it? Like what he's on pace to hit?
He's on pace for 500 rushing yards and 27 touchdowns.
Yeah. Obviously,
all NFL records.
I don't know if he's probably not gonna hit that.
I mean, but it's possible, dude.
It's possible with that guy. Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude is what? Let's see his height and weight.
6'3", 240.
6'3", 238 pounds. Probably a little bit bigger. And he ran 21.8 miles per hour.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? I mean, did you see the video of him training, going up a sand hill doing step-overs? The grind this dude has is through the roof.
And he already has the physical capabilities. He's just making himself stronger. He's working on his craft, and that's why he's the best in the game at his position. I mean, for the Bills,
is throwing people around. He has the ability to throw people around.
Yeah. For the Bills, though, I think this game, their offense really did produce. Their defense kind of got exposed by Derrick Henry, but you can't really blame them for that.
Yeah,
but I think one thing that was evident is that once they play better defenses, this lack of a run game is really going to hurt them. I mean, they had Josh Allen was 1 yard away from being their leading rusher.
Yeah.
That shouldn't really happen. I think they need to get the run game going a little bit more.
They have to give more carries first. They gave what? They gave their running backs a total of 14 carries.
13, yeah. So,
No, Isaiah McKenzie.
Oh, yeah, Isaiah McKenzie. But he's a receiver, but...
Yeah.
Either way, their passing game was terrific as always. Just really need to switch that. This really didn't change my opinion on the Bills. I still think they're one of the
Me
best teams in
neither.
football. Just
And I still
overall,
think they're
Derrick
one of the
Henry
best
just took over this
defenses.
game.
Okay, and that decision at the goal line, in my opinion, is 100% the right decision.
Yeah,
No, it was
I
the
agree.
right decision.
Going to overtime against Derrick Henry and the Titans' red
Josh
hot
Allen gets
offense
that 19
is a
times out of
no-go.
20. He
Yeah,
gets it 9 out of
Easy.
10 times.
he
It just
just
I
happens to
slipped
think
be
and was
he
that
just
1 out of
slipped.
10
unlucky.
time where he doesn't
He
get it.
slipped and he hesitated, and
Yeah.
that's ultimately what caused him to just not be able to convert that.
Yeah, 9
Like,
out of 10 times he gets that game over. There's
yeah,
no, it's just that one time. Doesn't change my
but
decision about him or the Bills.
the
Yeah,
Bills,
I
yeah,
agree.
for the rest of the season, they're gonna be fine. No worries. It's just I agree with the Kosh a little bit. The run game, the lack of a run game is a bit scary,
Yeah,
but Titans defense is super sketch still. Like seriously, I mean, I'm not gonna say like I expected them to allow less than 25 points to the Bills, but they've been pretty much getting exposed by almost every single team that they faced this season, and they signed Bud Dupree in free agency, which I don't think was a necessary buy. I think he had like
nope.
one pass deflection, almost resulted in a pick, but like aside from that, he wasn't doing too much. But the Titans pass rush overall is not bad. It's just that they just give up a lot of yards. I don't really
Yeah.
know how you can fix that. So
And then Caleb Farley tore his ACL. That's another player gone.
yeah,
So,
that was their first round draft pick too, I think.
you know,
That's unlucky for them. And that defense, yeah, just another blow for that defense. That's their main weakness going into the postseason
Yeah, I think
is
that.
that
Yeah,
defense.
I think that's really gonna wrap up our segment on our reactions to Week 6. I
yeah.
think we can get into our starts and sits for Week 7. I guess you start off with the first game that's tomorrow, or I think when this is gonna be posted today. So Broncos versus Browns. For the Broncos, I'm starting Cortland Sutton,
Yep.
Noah Fant, and I don't think Jerry Judy's playing yet. I think he's gonna be back next week. So yeah, I'll take Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant.
Tim Patrick, is he
Oh yeah, Tim
injured?
Patrick. Oh shoot, yeah, I forgot. I think Tim Patrick's a solid flex play. I think
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton's a wide receiver too this week.
Potential running back plays too this week
You think
for the
Javante
Broncos.
Williams is a start?
Potential. I mean,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
that's
sure.
He
actually true.
is.
He's really taken over the
If you're in
workload.
a deeper league, I think you play Javante Williams like at a flex, but I'm not so sure how
Yeah,
he's going to
I
do.
agree.
But Cortland Sutton, Fant, and Tim Patrick are the main starts for the Broncos. No doubt about it.
And then Browns, um, they have this. I think who's their third string running back that they.
Raymond Felton or
Yeah,
something.
I think what they're doing is they're splitting carries between Felton and Dearness Johnson, and then they have 3 starting offensive linemen who are injured and out of the game.
Yeah, I don't
They're
really
kind
know
of
if there's a
risky to start
start
those runs.
this week.
Yeah,
Especially with Case Keenum starting. I don't really
yeah,
know if
you
there's a
just do
start.
not know what's going on with that team.
I would say that running back, but no, I
Yeah,
think
nah,
about
don't
that
do it.
now.
I
Yeah,
think we can go on. Chiefs, Titans. This one's going to be high scoring. Neither team has a defense in sight.
yep.
I mean, I'll go with the Titans, which is pretty obvious. I think it'd be Derrick Henry. I think
Derrick
Ryan
Henry.
Tannehill, if you're streaming QBs, especially with all the buys this week. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill,
AJ
AJ
Brown because
Brown,
he's going to
Julio
tear up the
Jones,
middle of that
and
defense.
Julio Jones. And I think that's those 4 are very. You should be confident starting those 4.
Right. With the Chiefs' poor defense, AJ Brown's going to have one hell of a game. He's going to be able to run into the middle of the field at free will and get the ball in his best spot. Derrick Henry is obviously going to run through that Chiefs defense like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
And
Julio
then
Jones, still great. Actually, I'm not sure if Julio will play because he has a hamstring injury, so that's a maybe. But and then Tannehill with all those buys, and then he's gonna have the ability to throw to AJ Brown, so I think it goes well for them. Chiefs, obviously Tyreek Hill,
yeah, Tyreek
Mahomes,
Hill, Kelsey, Mahomes,
Kelsey. I
Damian
thought Kelsey
Williams,
got injured, didn't
I'd
he?
say Darrell Williams could be a start this
Daryl,
week.
Yeah.
yeah, Daryl Williams, yeah, start also.
I think
Yeah.
that one was quick. Next, we go Washington Packers. This one, Packers, you got to go Aaron Jones. You got to go Aaron Rodgers. You got to go Devontae Adams. I could even see Marquez Valdez-Scantling as a start this week, or even Robert Tonyan.
I think you wait 1 week just because he's coming off injury.
Yeah, so I'd go Tonyan, Devontae, Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, with those Washington linebackers are horrid, and since Tonyan he's a pretty good red zone tight end, I think they're gonna have struggles with him. So I think he'll be a good start.
I agree. Anyone want to take Washington?
I mean, J.D. McKissick, I guess you can, because Gibson's not going to get many touches because of the injury. For some reason, McKissick is getting more receiving responsibility than Gibson. Does anybody have a clue why? No. But
yeah, McLaurin also.
And McLaurin.
I mean, dude, Gibson's questionable. He didn't practice
but that's why I said I think you sit Gibson this week, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I really hope people sold high after the week 5 game where he got the 2 touchdowns, because it really isn't looking good for him. Next, Bengals Ravens. Ravens, outside of Lamar, Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews. And I think that's it. I don't really want to trust anybody in that backfield yet.
Yeah. Bengals rush defense has been a lot better this year. And I don't think Devontae Freeman should be running around like he did last week. I don't think he'll replicate it.
Yeah.
Bengals, because Marlon Humphrey's on the field this year and against Jamar Chase, we're not sure how Jamar Chase is going to do against a Marlon Humphrey type player, and I have a feeling that the Ravens are going to have one of their safeties try to patch up those deep routes that Jamar Chase is so good at. I think T. Higgins is probably the better choice, and Joe Mixon are the better starts for this week, Bengals wise.
Yeah, I think I'd still start Jamar Chase.
I'd still start Jamar Chase, but I feel like Higgins is a safer choice.
In my opinion, I like Boyd and Jamar over Higgins this week, just because I think Higgins, his role has really dropped off after he came back off that injury.
That is true.
I still think I'd start all 3. I'd put Boyd in a flex spot. I'd put Higgins in a flex spot, and I like Jamar as a wide receiver too.
Yeah.
I think Uzama in deeper leagues, and maybe in a 12, 14-man league, you could start him if you're streaming tight ends and you have buys this week.
You say Mixon?
And then obviously Mixon, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So they're going to need to have a high running volume in that game to keep it close. So,
Joe Burrow, is he a start?
No,
depends who you have at QB. It depends on your options, but I could see it. Next we got Panthers Giants.
Start DJ Moore and maybe Chuba Hubbard.
That's about it for the. I'd start Sam Darnold too. Giants have been giving up a lot of
Giants
points.
Defense is pretty bad.
I'd start Darnold, Chuba, DJ Moore, and then Giants wise, Sterling Shepard with all those wide receiver injuries. Kadarius Toney now out. Definitely Sterling Shepard.
Galladay's out also.
Yeah,
Galladay is out.
I like Devontae
Booker.
I'm pretty
sure Slayton has a lingering injury as well.
And I think I like Devontae Booker a lot. He ran hard against the Rams, although he didn't put up that many fantasy points.
Yeah.
He ran hard. He played well. So I think he'll have a good bounce back against the Panthers. And I think Daniel Jones is going to have a good week against the Panthers as well. I think both QBs have a bounce back week this week. Kirk Cousins lit up that Panthers defense. So I think that Daniel Jones can have a good bounce back week fantasy wise for sure.
Yeah.
Next we have Falcons Dolphins, another game with literally zero defense.
Yeah, I think Kyle Pitts is going to do really good this game.
Calvin Ridley as well.
Or Calvin Ridley, obviously.
Patterson.
I think Mike Davis is going to have
Cordero Patterson.
Not Cordero. I completely forgot about
Dolphins wise, I like Jalen Waddle. I like Gesicki here.
I like Devontae Parker also.
Yeah, and I think if you are really streaming, I think Tua could be a start against this the Falcons defense.
Depending on how desperate and deep your league is.
Yeah. Next, Jets Patriots. Patriots. My boy Damian Harris, got to start him. Jacoby Myers, got to start him.
I-
Hunter
I'm
Henry's had a
hesitant on
touchdown.
Myers.
Hunter Henry's
It's the
had a
Jets,
touchdown
though.
3 weeks in
It's
a
the
row.
Jets.
Yeah.
I'm starting Myers, 100%.
Yeah, I'm starting
I'm
Myers.
like
I'm starting Hunter
75
Henry.
25 on him. I just feel like with that Patriots, they've been strange this season. They've been really just weird offensively. So I feel like Myers is he's a good player himself. I'm just not sure if that volume is going to be consistent or if it's.
I mean,
But
like, he's
if
had
he
the
does get
he's
that
had 6
touchdown, it
plus
better be against.
targets every game.
It's going to be against the Jets if he has a good game. So I could see
Yeah.
since it's a Jets, you're right. He should be a start.
Definitely start against the Jets, yeah.
Jets wise, though, I could see. I mean, Corey Davis had a good game last time against the Patriots, so I'll go Corey Davis, and I'll go with Michael Carter. I think.
Yeah.
I would
Michael
sit.
Carter is the most
I would
dangerous running
sit
back
Jamison
one
Crowder.
for them.
Yeah. Next we go Eagles Raiders. Raiders. I think Henry Ruggs has been playing very well, so
Yeah.
I like Henry Ruggs as a flex this week. I like Darren Waller. I'd say just because of how bad the Eagles' run defense is, you got to go Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs looked pretty good last week as well, so I think he's a good start.
Josh Jacobs, and then I think that's really it for them. And Derek Carr. Yeah.
Yeah, there. Eagles
that's
wise,
really-
I think
Yeah, so-
Jalen Hurts is, even though Jalen Hurts can play a horrendous game, he always manages to put up 20 plus points.
Jalen
I
Hurts
think
is a must
Jalen
start
Hurts.
every
And I
week.
think Devontae Smith is also probably a good start for this game as well.
And Dallas Goddard. No.
Oh yeah, Goddard
Ertz.
with Ertz being gone and all of that, his production should go up.
So we got, I think, Goddard, Smith, and Hurts for the Eagles. Do not start
Yeah.
Miles Sanders.
Do not. He had single digit carries last week, didn't he?
He had 11, I believe. But
11, pretty
yeah.
close to single digits.
Next, we got Lions, Rams. Whew. Rams, you could start. You got to start Stafford. You got to start the
Start
whole
Kupp.
crew. Start Stafford. Start Henderson.
Start Kupp, start Woods, and start Henderson.
Start Deshaun Jackson too. Start Tyler Higbee. Like, start all of them.
Start their defense as well.
Start their defense as well.
Lions only start Hawk, but even
And
Hawk
DeAndre
and
Swift.
Hawk and Swift, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Swift hopefully gets a lot of those garbage time throws and carries, so that
Yeah.
should be good.
Next, we got Bears, Bucks.
I think since
Buccaneers.
the Bucs
Wait, hold up. Let me do the
defense,
full
pass
crew.
defense is so bad. I think Darnell Mooney might actually be a good flex
Yeah.
spot in all honesty. And it seems to be that Darnell Mooney is Justin Fields' favorite target.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with the Buccaneers, it's another Ram situation. Start the whole crew. Start
Yep.
Brady. Start Fournette. Start Evans. Start Brown. Start Godwin. And if Gronk's out again, start OJ Howard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, start all those guys. Huge weeks for them. Bears-wise, I agree. Mooney. And then I think Khalil Herbert. Actually, don't. No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
With that rush defense.
Yeah, do not do that against that rush defense.
No, and the Williams guys coming back.
Oh, yeah. They're splitting carries again. So
Yeah. So don't do
Came
that.
off the COVID list.
So I'd say Mooney. Then
It's
I'll
the
start Allen
A-Rod,
Robinson.
bro.
You know what? Allen Robinson,
No.
you got to start. It's such a bad secondary. I have to start him this week.
No.
Yes.
No, bro.
Yes.
I haven't seen anything.
dude, Allen Robinson makes me want to cry, man.
Allen Robinson has started to get more targets, though. So I don't know. I'll start him
is
this week
true.
against the Buccaneers. I'll start him this week.
Did it? Yeah.
Oh, the next
Te-
one is another full crew start. Let me do it again. Cardinals, Texans. Start Kyler. Start Edmonds. Start James Conner. Start Hopkins. Start AJ Green. Start Christian Kirk. Start all of them. Start Zach Ertz. Start all of them.
Yeah.
Start the whole crew.
Texans wise, Brandon Cooks. That's it.
I think this has been a common occurrence on this podcast. Texans start Brandon Cooks. That's it. Colts 49ers. This one's actually there's no full house starts this time.
It's
but
a good game.
It's actually gonna be a good game. I agree. Very
will
good
be.
Sunday night game. Colts. You got to go JT after these past few games.
Yeah.
Wentz. Start Wentz.
is start Wentz. I don't know if I can trust a single wide receiver here because I think they're all gonna have decent games. I'm not sure
Which
any
one
one of
though?
them are
Yeah.
gonna have a good game.
Pittman is a start for me.
I could see it
Hilton
at a flex.
potentially flex,
Yeah,
but and Mo Ali Cox is actually a good shot too. He gets a lot of red zone targets.
true.
That is true, but his volume is not
It's like a
the
Robert Tunyon type
greatest.
situation.
Yeah.
That's
Very
true.
touchdown reliant, and he doesn't even get the amount of touchdowns Tunyon got.
49ers, like Debo Samuel,
Yeah, Debo
Kittle's
Samuel.
not back yet, so I'm not gonna say it. Don't start Ayuk. Just start Debo Samuel. That's it.
Don't start.
I feel bad for Ayuk, man. What happened? Everyone was hyping him up as such a good rookie, and then he just like
Shanahan, bro. It's
That is
Shanahan's a
true.
freak, bro. The dude's weird.
Dude's on some messed up crap, bro.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, you can't look me straight in the eyes and say that dude does not deserve to be a starting wide receiver on the field because he
exactly.
was injured during practice.
what's that one dude, Travis Benjamin or whatever his name is? The
You're not talking about the former like Bills receiver who became
Biscuit
so
guy?
fat that he couldn't play
yeah,
anymore, right?
he's on that team, and he got more snaps over IU,
Oh
and he can't
no.
do anything. So like he's down bad. Also, Elijah Mitchell is actually a potential start this week for some reason, but 49ers
What?
back is super sus.
What?
They give the running back. They give a ball to
No,
a
do
new
not start
running back
Elijah
every
Mitchell.
2
Do not
days.
do that.
His projections are super high for some.
Do not trust projections. Do not start Elijah Mitchell.
I
Don't do it.
don't know why they're so high.
Because
Dude, you
ESPN's
can
on some
never trust
crack,
that play
bro.
call.
Don't do that.
That's true.
All
Dude,
right.
he's projected 14 something, bro.
Next, you can go Saints Seahawks.
Uh-huh.
Right here, I would start Marquez Callaway. What we expected from him has slowly started to show over these past few weeks. So I like Marquez Callaway. Obviously, Alvin Kamara, you got to start him. I think Jameis Winston's also a start this week.
Yes, definitely.
And I think that's it for the Saints.
I mean, you have an argument for their defense as well. They have a solid defense, and then with Geno Smith.
See, I think Geno Smith's bad, but they're gonna put up points still. Just there's too much talent on that offense for it to not score.
That is also true. I mean, there's really just start Metcalf. I don't think you can start Lockett.
I think Lockett could be a flex play, but
yeah, but like he's just
like if you have
he was
better
already
options.
inconsistent. Now he's even
But
worse.
the thing is,
off
like
with
this
Geno
week, people
Smith.
are so short with the amount of buys. Like
Oh, yeah,
you might
that was
have to start him
really
at
bad
flex.
week. Yeah, he's a good flex if you
And then
absolutely
Alex
need it.
Collins. Start out with Geno Smith at QB. They're gonna be running the ball a lot. So get Alex Collins in. I think you got anything else, Roble?
No, but I think that covers it. Really.
Yeah, I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check the description to go see our TikTok page. We post there every day so you can get some daily content. Other than that, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any comments or questions. And I hope you guys enjoy your day.